So I've been getting lots and lots of comments, and a lot of the comments, sometimes they have a question. They're kind of like advice. And so I wanted to go through and do my best in a short amount of time to try and answer these questions as best I can. Also, you might notice some jump cuts while I'll be talking and then I'll jump to another. It's because there'll be some times where I'm scrolling through the comments and I will, don't waste your time. I'll skip straight to where I have something to say. So that being said, let's get started with some of the interesting comments and questions that I've been getting on this channel. All right, here they are. Hey, school dropout here. I think he's saying school dropout. I left school to prevent waste of time and getting into program. I understand that. I have a college degree, just so you know. I went through the system. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Didn't even know programming was an option. High school taught me that I thought I was stupid. I thought I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't do anything. It was a bunch of memorization. I left high school thinking, I'll just get through college and get into business degree or something like that and just find a job. I don't know what to do, really. Once I discovered programming, I found out I was good at it. I figured out later how I learned, which was more important than anything. And how I learned is not just from doing papers and homework. Like my kid right now is going through that crap right now in school. Her science teacher is giving her these papers. They don't make any sense. And even my wife and me read them. I'm like, this is nonsense. If this stupid teacher was at work right now in my job and she tried to hand in some of the stuff and have other people do it, they would reject it and say, no, you need to get your stuff together. Right. But she has some bad, not all of them, but at least one bad teacher. All right. That being said, I understand school can be a giant waste of time. However, I will say some companies do like that you put in the work and the effort. They do like to see that you completed it. And a lot of companies might say 4-year degree required. Now, I have seen companies that say 4-year degree required and they still let other people in. Trade school, some people without degrees. And some of the smartest people I ever worked with didn't have a degree. So, I would say also I learned a little in college, but I got a kind of a background. But I didn't learn much until I got into the real world and got a real job. And that's where you really will learn. So college, everything you did in college was like 5 years behind. Like I learned COBOL. I learned flowcharts. They kind of helped me. It kind of gave me a structure. But some of the classes weren't so good. Some of the teachers weren't so good. Some were, some weren't. College did help me, but not that much. It wasn't until I got in the real world and it was like code. And then you get good at it, especially if you work with a mentor or something like that. So yeah, I get it. You don't need school, but if you have the opportunity, then go to school. Okay. All right. I'm having 2 corporate paid remote jobs on the average of 5 job invitations daily. I'm not surprised. If you're a good programmer, you're going to get hounded. You're going to have people wanting you to work. It's all about passion and know what you're doing. Yeah, that's pretty true. If you really like coding, and you go home and do it, and some of the smartest people I know, or the best programmers, are the ones that actually just love it. Like they will go home and read more about it, at night. They don't just do it for the job. They go home and love it. They read the magazines. They give talks. They talk about it, with their peers. They don't just go home and check out and do other stuff. I'm a little different. I have a lot of hobbies. This is one of them. I love making videos. I do triathlons. I did biking, hiking. I like to do other stuff. Like I'd like to program, but I also like to go and do other things because I always like to learn and do new things. That's one reason why I left this channel for a long time. I made 7 videos and then left it because I went to make other videos on ham radio. I have a ham radio channel. I've got over 420 videos, but all my point is I left this channel to go do it because it's interesting and fun to me because I'm no good at it. You see, I learned electrical engineering. I learned how to solder. I learned radio waves. I learned how to make antennas, and it's just really geeky stuff, but it's not programming. You see, I like to learn, but it's interesting to me because I'm not good at it. That's why I do it. Once I figure it out, I kind of get bored with it. All right. I may not make it very long in this video because I'm already ranting. All right. Now, next question. Let's move on down. Thank you all for commenting, by the way. Really, I think I like the comments more than anything. Can you please make a new video on how long it would take a person to become a really good at one language like Java or C# master? Share your experiences and rate yourself on a scale out of 10. I was thinking about this question, and it's not that fair to do that, to rate yourself like that. Do you still use Google when you forget some concept? I use Google hundreds of times a day, dozens of times a day. I constantly use Google. I always forget. I still can't remember the switch statement. I know it sounds crazy, but I'll forget because you don't use it that often. So when you use a switch statement, I'm like, do I put the brackets here or is there a colon there? I can't remember. So I just switch statement, a copy, paste, change, and then I move on. So I use Google all the time. And I just don't like to memorize. I almost come dependent on it. It's a part of my brain, right? So many times, like, let me give you an example. You're at work and you're working on a web form and you have an email address and you want to validate the email address. But how do you do that? Oh, I forgot. Regular expression, validate email address. See, I don't know these things. Here's the expression right here. Now, I'm not going to trust just what I find on the internet. I'm going to test it, but I'm not going to know this, right? I'm not going to know how to validate a regular expression email. So yeah, you use Google all the freaking time. All right, to continue on. How long did it take? Okay, I would say my first 2 years, I was pretty useless. I was bad, man. I was not good. I just kind of did what they told me and did the best I could. I think my first job, it was at Dollar Rent-A-Car in Tulsa, Oklahoma, straight out of college. I don't think it even exists anymore. I think that it got dispersed into other companies, but I was doing some busy work. I realized that one day because I think we're doing busy work. In other words, you're doing work they're just giving it to you to keep you busy. I don't remember. We were documenting some system and I was copying and pasting all these file names. It was like, what am I doing? I didn't really learn on that first job at all. It was right before .NET came out and I was learning Visual Basic and I was trying to learn classic ASP. And I actually went home and started making my own ASP. I want to make my own shopping cart and I wanted to start selling things online in the old ASP, not the ASP.NET. And I learned by making a shopping cart. It was only after like 3 years I became kind of useful. I know it sounds crazy, but it takes years to get good, at least for me. I mean, some people, if you have already been coding for a long time in school and you jump right in and get started, you can get ramped up a lot faster than I did. I might have been slow. It wasn't until about 5 years I started to feel really confident. Not really confident, but I still had a lot of weaknesses. And I had that imposter syndrome. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to make a whole video on it. It's where you feel like you're an imposter because everyone around you knows a lot more or you think they know a lot more than you. And so you feel you can kind of internalize that and start thinking, I don't belong here. I'm an imposter. I could do a whole video on that and I will, but I had that it depends on what you're doing and who you're working with. I was working with these top level consultants in Chicago when I first got there and I was in over my head a few times and it took a couple years to like catch up to them. Right now, it took after about 10 years, I really started feeling confident. I know that sounds ridiculous, right? But the ramp up time, because what ends up happening is you have these problems and then the first time you have them, you don't even realize it. You just have this terrible problem. And then you have that same problem again and you know how to fix it the next time. That's why experience is important. Then you have problems, different kinds of problems, but you see them. You've seen them before. Oh, I've seen this before. I know how to, even know how office politics works. For example, the other day at my company, this guy came yelling, gonna throw it all out. And he was talking about, he's gonna throw out everything in the refrigerator on Friday. I've seen that in every single company. Every single company has the same problem that everyone puts a bunch of stuff in their refrigerator and on Fridays, they don't remove it and they don't know whether they can throw it out or not. So they just get mad and they throw it all out and then that makes other people mad. I've seen every single company has that same problem. I've seen it. And like the second they said that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's that problem where people leave the stuff in the fridge. I've seen everything over and over and over and over and over again. Not everything, there's some new stuff, but if 5 years before you start getting confident, after 3 years, you'll be useful. After 5 years, you'll be confident. After 10, you should be a master. They say it takes 10 years to really master anything. That's what is that? Was it 10,000 hours? Something like that. 10,000 hours to master something. And the only way to do that is 8 hours a day over and over and over. I've got 20 years. I feel like I can do anything now. Am I the smartest person out there? Am I a 10 out of 10? No. There are people that are elite. I call them elite programmers. And you probably, if you're not working at a Google or an Amazon, you're not working with one. Every once in a while, you'll work with an architect at a company and he will be, usually it's a he will be like, you'll talk to him, you're like, that guy's freaking smart. He knows he's a dictionary, right? I'm pretty darn smart. I have lots of experience. I can get lots done. I'm better than your average programmer. I have a lot of experience. I've had all those problems, but I wouldn't call myself elite because there's some guys that have a natural ability. I don't think I have a natural ability. I think I had to push my way through. I kind of always had to do. I had to work harder, and get through it. And then I got good at it. I had to work harder than the average person. I think so. So am I a 10? No. Are there very many 10s? No. There's not. They're very, very rare. And those guys go to work I was working at Scottrade, financial company a couple years ago, and the head architect, one of those elite guys, he got pulled out and went to Amazon. They paid for everything for him to move to Seattle, and he was an elite. I worked with some guys in Chicago that were, they were called technological evangelists. They go around and speak, and they create architectures, and those guys are elite. And they are on another level. Sometimes they get hired to do some really, really tough stuff. Like some company will have a really nasty problem and they'll bring those guys in to fix it. I'm a professional. I'm pretty darn good at what I do, but I'm not elite. So am I a 9? I still don't think I'm a 9. It depends on how you grade yourself. There's a 10, 9, 8. I'm probably an 8 or a 7. And I'm saying that out of a very, very, very harsh critic. Like, a 10 might be somebody like an Elon Musk or something like that. Somebody that's just almost a genius. And then a 9 might be somebody next to that. An 8 might be just a really smart guy. And a 7 might be like a really experienced, good person. Then a 6 and a 5 and then a 4 all the way down to 1 that's a programmer that doesn't know anything. I don't know. I'm a 7 or an 8, but that's not really fair. How long does it take to get really good? Well, you have to, like I said, 3 to 5 years of working at a real job, doing your Java or your C#, you'll get really good at it. And especially if you work with other people that are good. I've only covered 2 comments. I might have to break this up into multiple videos. All right. Some of these people I think are joking. I'm not sure, but this is funny. When I try to do my own projects, one of 2 things tend to happen. Either I hit a brick wall and there's no information online, or it doesn't answer the specific question I have. Or I feel like my coding is terrible and there must be a better way of doing what I'm doing. What we need to do is look at your exact problem. A really experienced person can probably help you out. In a way, there are no brick walls. You just haven't tried enough. When I first started programming in college, I got really frustrated, super mad, like the stupid thing isn't working. I'm not sure. I literally think I punched my monitor. It was one of those big, thick, heavy monitors, not like these thin ones you have now. I think I punched it. I swear. I was so frustrated and I feel like I can't do this. And then it dawned on me that this is it. This is programming. It's just, you don't take anything personally. It doesn't work. It's not going to work until you fix it, and you fix it. You may have to do it 20, 30, 40 times. Right now, I've been working with this guy. He's trying to do something it's almost impossible because he doesn't have enough information for the job. And so we just have to keep asking people. We're going around the company, asking the business. I'm going with him to help him. And, if he's been working out for like 2 weeks straight on this one thing and he still hasn't got it. It's just normal. You can only do what you can do. There's only so much information you have, and then you have to ask for help. Okay. Don't worry too much. So realistic. Yeah. One of my videos, I would say, yeah, it's realistic because it's real. Very nice video. As a software engineer, I 100% agree with you. Thank you. Nice. So this person is saying it's nice with some honesty. He's skeptical about the cubicle thing. It seems like an outdated thing. I'm seeing more and more the cubicles. One thing, I used to hate the cubicle, and now I miss the cubicle because now they have us in these big rooms, these open concept rooms, and I call it a call center. And it's supposed to be more agile and more social and all that stuff. And so what ends up happening is it's really noisy and you have trouble concentrating. So I actually miss the cubicle, but it is going away. All right. Here's a technical question. I don't want to do a technical question. I love this channel. I love you, man. Thank you. All right. Number 1, become good at it. Number 2, become a freelancer. Number 3, profit. Doesn't it hurt the U.S. that many of the important cities are at a coast? He's talking about traffic. And it limits. Okay, so a lot of the cities in the United States are if it's up next to something like a lake, like Chicago is like, here's the lake. Chicago is like this. That's a problem because if there's millions of people, guess what they do? You can't go east. You can't, there's a lake there. So everyone goes out. They go out in the evening and in the morning. So all this traffic goes the same way. And you end up in tons and tons of traffic, because if you have a regular city, they can all go out this way and this way. But if there's a lake here, that's what Chicago's like. Everyone goes out, the traffic goes this way and that way. And they have what's called a reverse commute. And that's where you're going the opposite of that. So if everyone's going this way, you're going that way. You live in the city and you're going out in the suburbs. So he's talking about it is a problem. The big cities have huge traffic problems. And it's number one reason I almost had a nervous breakdown a few times I was living in Chicago trying to come home. And there was a point it was raining on a Friday and I was in 2 hours into my commute. And I kept trying to the lanes would be shut down because there's so many cars, and I would get off on an exit trying to make a shortcut. And it would be worse. And then I get back on the highway and it would be worse. And I kept making it worse and I couldn't get home. I'm like, I can't freaking get home. I just want to get home. I was so mad. Oh my God. All right. Oh man, I could go on and on. All right. Someone is talking about coding sucks. This guy is saying, this is basically my life as a video editor, except I'm being paid crap in his country and I feel miserable. I love what I do, but I have to force myself into the IT field. You know, speaking of coding, I actually really enjoy video editing. It's really fun to splice video together and put music in and things like that and add color and stuff. I really enjoy that. All right, this person said, get a walking desk. I didn't know there was a walking desk. You can improve your health. Is there a walking desk? I was thinking maybe it's on a treadmill and you can type while you're on a treadmill. This guy says, I don't like rules at all, but I love programming and problem solving. I do too, in a way. The problem is that sometimes the company can make it miserable. You know, it's what I would say. You have to remember as a programmer, you are there not to have fun programming. You are there to solve a business problem for them because they make money doing something. So they sell this and they don't know how to get this here. And they say, you need to get this here. They don't come in and say, oh, I want to do Java and I want to well, we don't use Java, but what we do need though is all of these files need to move over there and on the cloud, and we don't have much money. So that's your job. You are told what you do mostly, you know, unless you're really good and really picky, you don't get to pick what you want to do for the most part. All right. Now this nice lady watched my female programmers video. I need to update that because I have different opinions now on that. Okay, so I'm going to try to handle this question, and I think that'll be it for this video. I have so much to say. All right, so let's read this and think about it and see what we have to say. I'm a greener software engineer. Green means like a green banana. The first time I heard that, I was called like, you're still green. That just means you're not ripe yet. In case I didn't know what that meant the first time I heard that. So if you're green, it means you are new. And notice she said, I'm a greener software engineer with 3 years. Let me zoom in a little bit. Maybe you can read this better. She has 3 years experience, 3 years doing something, and she's still green. That's true. That's how I felt after 3 years. I still didn't feel that confident. You know, it was only after like 5 years where I started to kind of feel good. And it was only like 7, 8, 9, 10 where I came back from a few projects really starting to think I know what I'm doing now. I can really crank things out. All right, so 3 years, you are green. I think so, unless you're some kind of genius. I understand that. I agree with that. And 3 years of schooling under my belt. I am doing a fantastic job and receiving nothing but positive feedback. That's normal and good. Okay. From my senior developers and managers for years, but I still have this deep fear that they're going to figure out I don't really know what I'm doing and lucked into this job. Now, that's that thing I was telling you called Imposter Syndrome. And there might be some videos out there called Imposter Syndrome where you feel like you shouldn't be there. Like, I heard a story the other day about this. There were 2 or 3 NFL players. They went to play football, and they just literally walked off and left the game entirely. And they said, one of them said, I was out there and I don't feel like I belong here. Like, these guys are going to freaking run over me and stomp me into the ground. If I read it right, that's what I got it. But the imposter syndrome is the thing I'm talking about, which it can be a negative thing in your head. You have to remember, you are who you are. You only have 3 years. You might have imposter syndrome. That doesn't mean you're stupid or anything. It just means you need more time under your belt, and you will learn every single day. So you probably have imposter syndrome because you have that fear. This is a really interesting post. I have the deep fear they're going to figure out I don't really know what I'm doing and lucked into this job. Well, you should never lie. A lot of times I just admit, as soon as I walk into a project, I don't know anything about this project. All right, start telling me. And I just start making a model in my head. If they're going too fast, I say, please slow down. You're going too fast. You have to slow people down that are going too fast. And if they really do need to slow down, because it's not your fault that they're going so fast or they don't feel like helping you. It's not your fault. You still have to get the information. And if you don't get the information from the person you need to go and tell your manager, I don't have the information because this person doesn't really want to help me. I've done that before. A few jobs ago, this guy wasn't helping me at all. And I went to the manager and I said, he's not helping me, right? And I told him, I kind of told on him because it's your job at stake, right? I hate to be a tattletale, but it was true. I was like, I don't have information, so I'm going to need to get it somewhere. And this guy didn't feel like helping, right? He's nice when the manager's around, but he wasn't nice. He wasn't nice when I needed it when the manager wasn't around because he was lazy. He didn't feel like helping. Okay, I've only got a couple sentences in. All right, so she lucked into her job. I doubt that. I doubt you. I think you probably got the job because you should have gotten it. Now I'm in a very toxic situation post-acquisition that leaves me in a position where it's time to find another job. I've been there too. I've been in companies that were... I was in a company that got split in two. I was in this side and they were on this side, and guess what? We needed people over there and they didn't want to help us. I've been in situations like that. Anyway, so she's in a situation where there was an acquisition, and usually a lot of times they'll fire everybody from the acquired company and bring in their own people and just use their stuff. So she is in a toxic position. This corporation is not good for my mental health. That's probably true. They fired my 2 mentors, built the system, told to keep it running. I've heard that too. They're trying to save money, and then they point to you and say, fix it. And you're like, I don't know anything. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to stand up and say, how am I possibly supposed to know this? And if they say, well, you just need to say, well, and then say, tell me about it. You tell me. How come you don't know about it? After some shady business practice, I've seen that before too. I've seen shady business practices. I worked for Wells Fargo, for God's sake. Google Wells Fargo drug money laundry. I will never work for Wells Fargo ever again. I've had them beg me to come work there, and I won't do it. They treated me really bad too. But Wells Fargo was caught laundering drug money. They were also caught creating fake accounts. Like thousands of people were making thousands of fake accounts. They were such an immoral company. They are out there. There's bad companies out there. Wells Fargo is one of them. They fired my 2 mentors that built the system. Of course they did. There's a lawsuit involved. My manager and I are disgusted by how it is handled from senior management, but you need to find another job. This job offer came after my insurance. I have only one technical interview with a guy that was incredibly sexist and was out to prove I was some kind of airhead because he didn't really want a woman on his team. I'm going to tell you, women are... I was talking to a recruiter like a year ago, and this lady said that they really, really want female programmers because they have a different perspective. I find it nice to have a mix. I don't like to work with all guys because it can create this heavy mood, and sometimes guys can kind of like fight with each other and kind of disagree, and the room can kind of take on this tense. But if there's a woman there or a female, then it kind of everyone has to play nicer. Does that make sense? So it creates kind of a more balanced, and it would be the same problem if it was all women too. There would be an imbalance there, and the women can kind of do that also. We all know that, right? So too many guys and too many women is not a good. You need a good balance. I really believe that. I actually like working with women. They just seem nicer to me. I've gone over the experience with several developers, and they all told me I need to forget about it because he really crossed the line. I don't really know the details of this. I'm still a little petrified of a technical interview. I've never come across any technical interview that was... There were a lot of them that were really bad, but none of them were like racist or sexist or anything weird like that. Okay, so you're terrified of technical interviews. The key to a technical interview is to not care about the result. You need to go on a lot of them. Just go on them. Be honest about what you know. You know what you know, and you're not applying for a job you don't know. Like I've never done Agile before, and I'm honest about that. I say I've worked in an Agile-like environment. I've worked on projects like it, but I don't know Agile, and I can code, I can program, I can do all these other things, so I can learn that too. So your attitude is you need to go on a lot of technical interviews and just fail. It's okay. Fail. One of them you'll get. One of them you won't. The best interviews are the ones where they let you tell your experience. I mean, if you're honest, you say, I have 3 years of experience. I've done this project, and this project. And you should be able to talk about those projects for an extensive period of time. And you wouldn't be afraid of it. You're just talking about yourself. And if they ask you something you don't know, then you say, I haven't worked with that. I've said that all the time. Sometimes interviews are about finding out what you know. They just want to know how far. And they don't necessarily, a lot of companies don't, they know you don't know this stuff because they buy these weird tools that nobody knows and nobody knows them. So they bring somebody in and they expect you to learn the tool. So they expect you to be a fast learner. So that's what you say. I'm a fast learner. I can pick it up. I'm willing to work extra. I want to take classes. If you have training, ask for training. Say, I don't know that tool. I don't know that language, but I would like to learn it. I say, I know C# very well, but I don't know Python. I really want to learn it. And that works a lot of the time because people know there's millions and millions and millions of things to know. You can't know it all. And if you said you did, you'd be a liar too, right? So just be honest. Don't be afraid of technical interviews. Just go on. The more you go on, the easier they get. And seriously, some of the jobs I didn't want, I went in there kind of like, I don't even want to work here. But I'm going to do the interview anyway because, heck, I'm going to do it. And just get the experience and put the suit and the tie and you smile and you do everything they want. And then a little bit later, they show interest in you and you start thinking, well, maybe I would like to learn that thing. Maybe I would like to work that area. And then, you kind of can change your mind even if you didn't want to work there. And don't worry if you don't get the job. Just tell yourself you probably didn't want to work there anyway. It's probably worse than you think. I'm so confident in my ability to learn the job. I'm already doing well, but paralyzed by the interview process. Yeah, you have to stop caring so much. That's your problem. You care too much. Go ahead, go fail a whole bunch of interviews. I recently interviewed this place. It's a consulting company, and I was thinking about getting back in consulting, and it started to appeal to me. I'm like, this might be cool. And I picked up the phone, and the guy was like a jerk. He was the HR guy. He's like, hey, how's it going? What do you know? And he was like asking these harsh questions. He wasn't being real. And I was telling him, he goes, tell me about your experience. All right, what happened here? And he was like nitpicking my resume, kind of like in a bad way. And then I told him about my C# experience, and then he got quiet. He goes, could you tell me, do you have any C# experience? I had just told him like 3 minutes of talking about my C# experience. He wasn't listening to me. I got this feeling like, man, if this is the guy, if I have to work with this guy, he sounded like one of those cheap salesmen, He literally forgot what I was telling. I spent 2 or 3 minutes telling him what I was doing, and he goes, oh, I'm sorry. That you said that, didn't you? You said, I'm so sorry. Like, yeah. Maybe you should listen to me while I'm talking. Good Lord. It just made me think, I don't even want to work there, man. All right, so just go on the interview and be ready to fail and get 4 or 5 of them lined up. I have a friend that's interviewed at Google, he knows he's going to fail. He doesn't care. He interviewed and he learned the process. They asked him some weird questions, some weird technical questions, and he couldn't do them. So what? So, they don't care. Also, don't be too surprised. The people doing the interviewing might not know anything. They don't know what they're doing either. That's another thing. You don't remember, these guys a lot of these people are not that smart. Some of these people have no clue what they're doing. They're just as clueless or more so than you. Everyone's walking around acting like they know what they're doing, and no one does. I'm telling you, man, you're smarter than you think. Don't be afraid of technical interviews. Just be honest about what you know. And if you don't know it, I'm sorry, I don't know. I've had to say that so many times. I was asked a really deep technical question, say, I could look that up, but I can't recall it. And sometimes they keep asking, like, they want you to know. They're like, but, it's close to this. And I'm like, I have to remind them, I just don't know. I just like, oh, and they're like, oh, okay. It's really uncomfortable. I'm like, I just told you I don't know. Quit asking me if I know, because I just told you I don't. Oh, my God. All right. How should I prepare for technical interviews so I feel confident that the interview won't get inside my head like that again? Oh, he got inside your head. Well, here's what I do. I tend to forget how to interview. It's, sometimes I might go a year or two before an interview, or 3 years. All right, just do this. And I want to make a video just like this. Watch this. Top 100 C# interview questions. Now, this might seem simple, but what you end up doing when you do this, what is C#? Okay, explain the features of C#. What'll happen is you'll start reading these things like, this is just an example, constructors and destructors. You think, my God, I don't know what those are. What's a constructor? All right, I got to go figure out what a constructor is. And you got to start learning. All these questions, they're topics. They're not just direct questions. If you don't know what constructors and destructors are, you got to go look them up and learn them. And then properties. If you can't answer this question and talk about it for 2 minutes, you don't know this question. If you go through something like this top 100, you'll go through the top 100 questions out here, and you'll feel confident when you get to the end. Can I talk about this for 2 minutes? Or what if I don't? Can I talk? If you can do like 90% of this, you're going to be fine. And if you can't, then say, I don't know that concept. I would like to learn it. Or you don't. If they're asking you too many technical questions, that's another thing. The worst interviews are the ones where they nitpick you from the book. They ask you these crazy questions that are really complex, and all they want is to technically rule you out. The best interviews are the ones that say, can you describe what kind of objects you used and classes you used to build your web app? What kind of tiers did you use? Please explain. They ask you to talk. They ask you to explain technically. They don't technically bang you. They might a little bit, but I've had both kinds. I've had some that just say, tell me what you've done. You're hired. I've had others that just bang, 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 bang. They're all different. You just don't know. You just had a bad interview, I think. That was just one bad interview. Don't worry about it, man. I've lost a lot of jobs. I get more than I don't get, but I miss them all the time. And I just don't care. That's the key. I'm confident, man. You got to be confident. A little lack of the vocabulary. I even have a plan to finish my degree. Yeah, I'll do that. You're doing fine. You're in a bad work environment and you worry too much. Is that good advice? Is that too simplistic? I just need a healthy work environment. That's harder to find than you might think. It really depends on your circle of people around you. Do they care? Are they nice? Are they happy? And then that depends on the people above, all the way to the top of the company.